Headshot!
Hi, and welcome back to Wounded on Sixes. Today we'll be reviewing the changes to the Tau Empire points from the recent data slate. First up, we have Fire Warrior Strike Teams. They went down 5 points to 75 points. Now, this is a change a lot of people expected because really the strike teams aren't that impressive. Really, it's just that their guns don't have any AP. I guess with a Cadre Fireblade, within 15 inches, you can get their guns up to 3 shots per, so you can get them up to the breacher range in terms of shots. The issue I see is that they just don't have any natural AP, so you're going to be looking to use something like the focus fire stratagem from Moncad to get them to work. But really, they're just kind of there for, I guess, backline objective holding and things like that nature. Maybe with the changes to the Pariah Nexus, a unit like this will be useful, but I don't really see them replacing anything in the Tau list that are out there right now between Breachers and Pathfinders and Stealth teams. There just really doesn't seem to be a need for these strike teams. Again, maybe if they had a natural pip of AP at Strength 5, -1, 1 damage, Rapid Fire 1, we could probably talk a little bit more. Next, we have the Sunforge Crisis Suits, and these guys went down 20 points to 150 points. Now, I have been singing the praises of the Sunforge, except for the fact that you need to drop them so close to enemy units, particularly when you're dropping them in an opponent's backfield. It can sometimes be hard to observe for these units because they're so far in our enemy's backfield, and they may be attacking a monster or vehicle that we just don't have sight on. Hitting on 4s can be really detrimental, but overall, without a commander, all of the crisis teams are just very, very dependent on commanders for their damage output. I mean, this is only 6 attacks naturally hitting on 4s. It's just not enough. 150 points makes them a little bit more lucrative, but again, I still think you're going to need a Cold Star with Quad Fusion to make it worth it with 10 shots. But 10 shots at 150 points seems a lot more reasonable, and I really think that we're going to start seeing more of these guys in Retaliation Cadre. Moving over to the Fire Knives teams, they also went down 20 points to 130 from 150. I was somewhat impressed with the Fire Knives at ACO, and I think they're going to be better now. I still think the missiles are the way to go, especially if you can get another pip of AP onto them, Strength 7, -2, 2 damage. They can be really useful. Rerolling all those hit rolls or hit rolls of 1 is very good. I mean, they're essentially their own Tetras, which is really, really nice. 130 points. Again, I still think that this unit is commander dependent because you really need to get those extra shots from a commander running your weapons of choice in that unit to really, give them the bite that I'm looking for with a crisis team. They just don't seem to have the damage output they used to because they're missing one of their hard points now. So yeah, I think that the Fire Knives, all of the crisis suits got better. All of them are going to be better in the Retaliation Cadre for sure. So I still think that, we may not see crisis suits blow up, but we're definitely going to see more than we did before. Finally, the last crisis suit variant is the Starscythe, and they went down 20 points, and they're 110 points. If you would have told me that there is a Kroot unit that cost as much as a crisis suit unit, I would have laughed at you a year ago. But here we are, 110 points for the Starscythes. And honestly, I think this, with the burst cannons, might be one of the few crisis suits that does not now need to be commander dependent. But putting a commander in here works really well as well. 110 points. You can put an enforcer in here now, spoiler alert, for 80 points. That's 190 points. If they all have burst cannons, that is 8 shots for the little ones and 16 shots for the commander. That is a lot of shots coming in at strength 5, -1, 1 damage. Yeah, I kind of really like the Starscythe now. I think they're actually pointed efficiently now at 110. I think that you can take them as, fire line support, or you could take them as a unit that drops in deep strike. Again, I think Retaliation Cadre is really going to benefit from a lot of the changes here to these suits, and the Starscythes are no exception. We then have the Broadsides, which came down. So these are a little weird. So they came down 20 points if you're taking 1 or 2. But if you look, for 3, they're 300 points. So what that means is that if you're taking units of 1 or 2, you're getting a 20-point discount per model. But if you're taking 3, you only get a 10-point per model discount. I don't know if this is on purpose. My thinking is it's to prevent people from spamming the missile sides as much as possible, because in Mon Ca with the missile sides, being able to get all those attacks with the missile sides, it's 6 strength 7, -1, 2 damage, twin linked. Pretty good. And gonna get way better here. But again, I think that the missile sides are only good in the Mon Ca strategy because they're only 30 inches. The unit naturally moves 5, so if you're not getting the advance rolls with Mon Ca, I still think that the rail rifles are the way to go with them. And they're basically back to where they were, so expect to see more Broadsides in my list for sure. Coming over here, we have the Enforcer Commander that came down 10 points and is now 80 points. This is something that I had been talking about online, that the commanders are not as good anymore now that they can't spam the CIBs, and that they need to come down. I think 80 points is exactly where I had the Enforcer, and then we have the Cold Star that came down 15 points from 110 to 95. I think these are perfectly reasonable cuts. I think it was needed. I think that the Cold Star has gotten to the point where it is hyper efficient, and if you put this in with a unit of Sunforge, you can have a really deadly unit that is destroying things at 245 points. Is pretty good for the little melt-a-bomb that you could get there. And then here with the missile knives, or with Starscythes, this could be, 190 point unit with an Enforcer now. So really great point drops here. We did have 1 point increase, and that is the Hammerhead gunship. It goes up 15 points. A lot of people have been dismissing the Hammerheads. That they're easily taken out of the game by a lot of invul saves. And yeah, you're totally right. You are dependent on that 6-up devastating wounds. But this machine is highly accurate. And whatever the Hammerhead rail rifle points at, it usually deletes almost instantly with that D6 plus 6. And if you have 2 of them, it can take down very large targets at much higher points cost than itself. I think 145 might be a little heavy-handed. I was kind of hoping we may only see a 140 rise and maybe the Skyray come back down, but we did not. I was disappointed to not see any changes to Crew Tox Riders. I understand them not changing the Crew Carnivores. I was happy to see that the Riptide stayed the same and that the Breacher Fish combo stayed the same, although I really would have liked the Ethereals or the Fireblades to come down just slightly. But overall, I'm really happy with some of the points changes for Tau. We did not get any rule changes, so this is what we're going to be rolling with in terms of this recent meta. Basically just some point changes. And again, I think we're going to see some more Crisis suits. We're definitely going to see some more Broadsides. And sadly, I think we're going to see Hammerheads get traded in for some Skyrays. And again, the aforementioned Broadsides. So this is Wounded on Sixes signing out for now. But we'll definitely have some more videos. I'm going to be going over some of the point changes and some of the rules changes for AdMech, which I'm really excited for. One of my first shooting army loves. It wasn't always Tau, it was AdMech for a while, so they're going to be back on the scene big time. I'm going to have a video coming out about that. And yeah, we're also going to be having our first look at my Cayune list that I may be taking to an RTT next weekend, as well as an update to the Retaliation Cadre list. So if you haven't, please go ahead and subscribe to Wounded on Sixes, and go ahead and like this video. Leave a comment if you would, and we'll talk to you next time.